Welcome to Overthinking Episode 2, where we take fun, interesting ideas, overanalyze them, and run them to their logical conclusions, all in the name of exploration, education, and most importantly, entertainment.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Devin.
And we don't claim to be experts in any of the topics we discuss here today. We simply find these ideas interesting as we hash them out in real time. Get ready to join us for this exciting, fun, and crazy ride to nowhere.
This week, we are in the CU section of the Webster Dictionary. You can find us right between cuneiform and cunning.
Yikes.
What are we talking about today, Luke?
Well, we're definitely not talking about that. We're breezing right past that intro. But first,
I actually mispronounced it anyway. It's cuneiform.
Cuneiform?
Cuneiform is the
That is
proper
not
pronunciation.
how it looks like.
I know, right?
I think a family friend of ours wrote a book around that word, like a full-on fantasy series around like the first language ever developed, which is what cuneiform means. Haha! I taught you something, Devin. Ha!
Big vocab words today.
Devin just taught me.
Well,
that
I'll
word,
bet
like,
you
5
don't know
minutes
what
ago.
cunning means. So there.
I'm not. I tried to make a joke out of like if I say I don't, then I am cunning. No, we're not. Okay, let's go right past that. I'm just having straight up iced coffee. Cold brew coffee, a single round ice cube in it, and a splash of milk.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
It makes me feel fancy. When it's just coffee.
I have a glass of wine.
You have wine?
I have a glass of wine from Westport Winery, which is a local winery.
I didn't know you were drinking wine. I want to drink wine with you.
It's interesting because it's a cranberry wine, and you can see how dark red it is.
It's very red. That's why I was like, "Is that juice?" It kind of
But
looks like juice.
because it's a cranberry wine, and it's technically a white wine, and I'm just baffled by that. So
That's
I haven't
hilarious.
actually even tried it yet. This will be me trying it.
Taste it. Yeah, on a tasting. There we go.
It's actually really good.
Yeah? What are you getting notes of? Describe, put out your best sommelier.
Let's see.
Oh, and okay, the wine is making him salute. Devin is gone. It's just me.
I was saying goodbye to somebody. Sorry.
Yeah, Have you gone wine tasting?
I've not gone wine tasting. My experience with wine is I try a different one every time I go to Olive Garden.
Okay, I'm not gonna knock it.
I'm trying to. I don't remember the type.
Is it like dry? Is it a little sweeter?
It's there's a type of white wine that it really is reminding me of. That's very citrusy and light.
Is it Chardonnay?
No.
No. I don't know. I don't know white wine very well at all.
I don't like red wines. I haven't tried a red wine yet that I've liked. But this technically is a white wine, so it's.
Oh. I'll change that. I'll make us a nice steak with a red wine, and it'll be great. Oh yeah, there's nothing better than steak and red wine, and then some scotch afterwards. Just a little bit of scotch afterwards to get your palate all spicy. Oh,
we learned last week you got to think about scotch. So.
I love scotch. But anyway, we're not a wine.
What are we talking about today, Luke?
Well, first we want to go into before we get into our thought experiments for this week. We want to go into Secrets Uncovered, which is really just stuff we thought about this week that kind of popped up. And apparently you have something, Devin, right?
I do. And, but before I get into it, I wasn't sure how I felt about this when you introduced it, and I kind of understood the premise last week. But it's been really nice to just have, something that's intentionally making me not just reflect, but record the reflections.
Yes. See? I know what I'm doing.
So it's these are the kind of things that I think about, and often I bring them up with people in my life, but actually recording them, writing them down, and putting a little bit more intentional thought in them is almost therapeutic.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Sweet. That's good. That's good to hear.
So this one was inspired while I was listening to somebody else's podcast, whom I won't name, but they were talking about, and it was it's a business podcast for technical founders. I am not a technical founder of anything,
Yeah.
and nor do I ever intend to be one. So it's really something I listen to because the hosts entertain me, and none of it's practical to me. So it's just fun.
Yeah.
But one of them was talking about how he's facing burnout, and how he's trying to deal with that. And I just realized that there's some like clear, I guess, symptoms, like early stage symptoms that if you can recognize them, they pretty much mean that like you're burnt out on whatever you're working on.
Interesting. Okay.
So I've only identified 2, and I'm sure there's more.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was thinking about it, I realized if you have a project that you're working on that you're passionate about, maybe it's a side project, maybe you're a business owner, that's your primary income source, but maybe it's just something you're passionate about. If you find yourself on what feels like a regular basis having days where you like, I'm just going to take the day off and have it as a mental health day, you're probably burnt out.
I feel called out. You can just say you're talking about me, okay?
And then the other one that I realized is you're probably burnt out when you have like hours go by when you're working on your project,
Yeah.
and at the end of those hours you can't identify anything you've done.
Yep.
And when it's cool that like I'm sure there's more, but if you can start to recognize these early stages of burnout, you can start to deal with them, because if you're actually burnt out on what you're doing, taking a day off isn't going to fix it.
Yeah.
Getting a good night's of rest isn't going to fix it. If it's truly burnout, you need to do something a bit more dramatic, and so the earlier you can recognize that, probably the better.
Yep. That's really interesting. It's something like I honestly I feel called out, especially like recently with the changes in my work that's been going on. It's literally what's been happening.
I didn't name names.
You don't have to. But yeah, it's true. Like, and that's an interesting thing, is that like it's something I've told myself a lot, is that if you're just take today off or take 2 days off, get back into it, you'll be fine. And it's like, no, that's not how things work. Is that maybe if you're just stressed, then maybe just taking a day off to relax. But if you're burnt out, and then like you need to change a lot more than just taking a day off.
Yeah. Luke, have you ever done like founders retreats is what they tend to call them? No. I think if you took like a 3-day retreat, that'd probably be really
I've done
good.
silent retreats before.
Yeah?
Yeah. Those are honestly those are my favorite, except people still try to talk to me. I'm like, no. Like I my version of a silent retreat is going out into the woods by myself.
For how long?
Like a week.
Yeah.
Maybe a week is too long. Maybe like 4 days. Maybe 4 or 5 days.
When I do retreats, I'm not saying that I have some science behind it or that I've really put detailed work into it, but my retreats are always 3 days.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that's an ideal time frame for me. It's just what I do.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of feel it, like, because I know that I recently spent Christmas with a friend, and it was great. Like, we're best friends, and so there's absolutely like no problem. Like, we spent like 3 weeks together before in tight, like in confined spaces. But it was even like it was after like 5 days. We're kind of like, okay, like, like we settled to normalcy, and so it's less of like seeing each other and other than just like living our own lives in the same place. I don't know, like she won't listen to this, so it doesn't matter.
Some friend.
She doesn't listen to podcasts. But yeah, it is interesting though, like having that time, and then like people visit and stuff like that. That's what my closest relation is to. But yeah, I've been on a bunch of different like retreats and stuff when like camps when I was young, and it was all like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Well, I like I find personally every maybe once a quarter, maybe twice a year, it doesn't matter what I'm working on, I'm done. And so I schedule accordingly to where every 6 months at a minimum, I take 3 days and I go away from everybody, and I kind of reflect and I kind of figure out what I want to do. Yeah. And I do a lot of like internal work, and that's how I get refreshed and I can keep working. I actually had initially planned one for this weekend. Oh yeah. And then the last 2 weeks I didn't really do a whole lot, and I think in the middle of that I found the same kind of thing out of it. It just wasn't intentional, and so I don't know, maybe 3 days ago I was looking at it, I was like, I don't think I need it, actually.
Nice.
Like, I needed it a couple of weeks ago, but I think I've gotten what I needed, so.
Awesome. Hey,
Yeah.
look at you. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, I really like that idea. Because, yeah, I think you and I are similar in that response, is that we both get tired of things pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, some things, like, there's, like, I would say, like, general ideas and concepts we don't, but, like, specific projects and stuff like that is that I know it's, for me, there's very few that I've been consistent. There's only one, in fact, that I've been consistently working on for, I mean, that's been 7 years now. But that's the only thing that I've actually kept up.
Well, for me, I spent years kind of not recognizing that it was just kind of my nature and just saying I need a break from this.
Yeah.
And just blaming whatever I was working on at the time, whatever was going on. The first time was when I was in college. It was like, I need a break from school.
Yeah.
I went to India. But,
I talk about extreme measures.
right. But I don't know, probably 6 months ago that I realized, no, it's actually been consistent since I've been an adult, regardless of what I'm doing, that I can almost put it on the calendar and I can almost project and be like, this is when I'm going to be burnt out and done and not want to do whatever I'm doing at this point.
Well, that's part of why keeping notes and journals and stuff like that are so helpful, because you can look back on it. Yeah, that's cool. I really like that. And I want to, eventually I want to get to our, I mean, I'm a little,
right.
Maybe I'm being a little selfish because I'm, going first today. Right.
Well, did you have a secret uncovered you wanted to share?
Not really.
Okay.
I think there's like little stuff here and there. It kind of actually goes along with that. Is kind of like recognizing when something's not for you and then fooling yourself and thinking you can do it. And like I learned especially for myself. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Like I can figure it out and beat it and like work past myself to do it. And
Can
it never
doesn't mean should.
Exactly. Because then I'm not motivated to do it. Then So I think that's that it ties along very well with you. Also, I think being a natural introvert, I realized that over several times, like being with people is very, very good for me. So like, I went to a New Year's party, which I've never done before, and partied it up with, I mean, they're all much older than me, which is great for me because that's where I feel comfortable. Is with people who are a good, like a few decades older than me. I love it because I could, but yeah, it was really nice. So I think that's the other big thing, is that for natural introverts is that don't forget your peeps.
Right, that's something you and I have in common.
Yeah.
99% of the time I don't care that I don't have people, and then the 1% of the time that I don't have people, it sucks.
It really sucks, and you're like, wait, I want to do things.
And then it's like,
but I don't know how.
That's my fault. I never reached out to people. I'm sure I have people who would have been happy to make friendships, and I didn't.
Yep.
And now I'm alone.
Oh, stop calling me out. Okay, but so that's then secrets uncovered. Dum dum dum. I don't think we have. I haven't put in music yet.
Yeah, we need something better than your da-da-dum.
I'm trying here. Okay.
We'll get better. To the fans, I
better.
promise we'll get better. To the two people who might listen to this
and
one.
that's you and me.
I'm gonna make this promise to you and me right now. We'll get some music for that in the future.
Yes. And that's
Right.
yeah. So, but to get into the thought experiments, and then I imagine like a little wee wee woo, in number one. You like my Foley? I should be a Foley artist. That's what I should do.
Good.
Just have
Thinking
a
like some Twilight Zone-esque, like da na 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 na.
Oh yeah, that works too. Yeah. But
We just can't take the copyright from that.
no, we do not want to get sued. That sounds like a terrible start to a podcast. But so my thought experiment, I didn't want to bring this out on the first one, even though I really wanted to. Okay.
Okay.
I really want to bring it on to the first one, but it's so cliche that I'm could
excited.
not. Okay. But it's our podcast art, which is the classic trolley problem, and I love this. Personally, because it like many people, I assume, it got me into the idea of thought experiments. It got me the idea of thinking critically about, ethics using, what is it? What we have the definition here, but like using like imaginary situations or hypothetical situations.
Yeah. So thought experiments are things that can only be practiced in your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it, because it gave me free reign. Because I've always wondered about things like, what if we like experiment with this person by doing this, and what if we like do these things to twins? But of course they're unethical, so of course we would never actually do them, even though we have in the past, you know. But so that's where I really start to fall in love, and I love the variations. That's the thing. I think many people don't. If you know about the trolley problem, which I'll explain a little bit. Many people don't know about the so many variations of this that are so fascinating to me, okay? So the first one, the classic one, is that you have a trolley or train, right? Funny, I never thought about the word. It's a trolley. I don't even know what a trolley looks like. But there's a trolley on a track, right? And then it's going to hit 5 people, let's say. You are at the track and you can switch the track so that way it'll divert, but on the other track there is one person. And can you actually pull that lever? Therefore, actually, you're the reason that this person got killed. But by your inaction, 5 people will get killed.
Right.
And so I want, from your perspective, Devin, I want to, because what is your answer to this? What would you imagine you would do?
But before I answer this, I thought it was you, but based on the way you're bringing this up, I guess it wasn't you. Like 3 years ago, I walked a close friend of mine through all of these.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I don't think it was, because I went over this in some psychology class, and then from YouTube videos and stuff like that from there on.
I did it as a purpose because we were talking about ethics anyway, and I don't know. I don't think it was you at this point, but whoever it was, they were like very black and white about their views.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they were cut and dry, and they're like right, wrong, and I was just like, all right, so let's do a thought experiment. Nice. And I ran them through all of these. Nice. And just stumped, like, I think half of them completely stumped them. Yeah. And they were like, okay, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh, I thought ethics was simple. Like,
well, exactly. And that's why I love this too, is because when I was young, I was very much raised the idea of like, this is like right, wrong, boom, boom, solid. There's no room for like error. And that's why I love these, is because this is part of which kind of got me thinking, like, okay, like let's think critically about situations, rather than grand ideas. Because we don't live in a world of cut and dry, black and white. We live in a world, it's all gray. Right.
And so the dilemma with the first quarrel, the first problem, the first version of it is if I don't do anything, then can I detach myself from guilt?
Exactly.
Right? And so the logical process says I wasn't involved in the situation. I should be able to walk away. I have nothing to do with this. Mm-hmm. But emotionally, can we do that? And then recognizing on the flip side, if I do take action, then I am becoming responsible for an individual's death.
Exactly.
And can I handle that guilt? And that's the dilemma. And I honestly, it's a fun thought experiment that I've always thought, in this situation, you would not have time to think about this. Right. So you would be guilty about whatever situation.
Exactly.
This is most people's response to this, and I think I fall in that category of I just do what most people do in this scenario. Most people's response is the very utilitarian view of Spock's famous last words. Yeah. The needs of the few, or the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Right. We naturally feel, knowing nothing about the people, that the best option is to only let one person die. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd have that same default. I think in all likelihood, not knowing anybody, not knowing the situation, I'd pull the lever and I'd save 5 lives.
Really? Okay. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Okay. So I'm gonna add some elements to this. And a lot of these I made up myself. So
fun. Okay.
So I think I've never seen them, so I mean it's hard.
I think traditionally there's 5 of these questions.
Oh, only 5? Okay, I know. Yeah. So I'm gonna add one more layer on top of this then. Okay. Okay. You are walking on the tracks and you're by this lever, mm-hmm. and then you see the 5 people, and I'll up it to 2. Let's say. Let's make it a little like this. right? You see the 5 people tied to the tracks, and you see the 2 people over on the other track, and you go, what's going on? You see the train coming, and then there's a crowd of people that see you, and they're yelling at you, and to like pull the lever. Does that change your mind at all? If there's a crowd of people watching your actions?
I don't think it remotely affects me.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That's I'm honestly a little surprised because I know if people are watching me, that would make me freeze up. Like that would remove any type of ability to actually make a decision.
Well, I guess there is an element like my thought is very much when it comes to doing the right thing, I don't care what other people think.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, though. That's the question: is it the right thing?
Right. Well,
that's
there is an element too of what's the psychological play? There's a term for it. The more people that are there, the less responsible each individual feels.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The bystander syndrome.
Thank you. Yeah, the bystander effect.
Bystander effect.
Yeah. So if they're close enough to the lever that I would feel that they could also pull the lever, that might change what I do. Not in a way that I would ever want to admit this is how I think, but in a way that I understand this is how people work.
Okay, let's bring it to that then. There's 10 of you, like on a tour of trains. You know some of the people you might not know. Some, know others. Your varying level of friends. You're all at that lever.
Right.
And the same situation happens.
In that situation, I want to say I pull the lever. I know, statistically speaking, nobody pulls the lever.
Yep.
And the closest situations that I can like relate to are to like try to speculate as to how I would actually act are situations I've been in where people have been injured and there's been a crowd around them.
Yep.
In those situations, I've always responded.
Yeah.
And I don't have a good explanation as to why I've always responded, but I have.
Well, I think you have a certain knowledge that no one will help, and you also you have a good. I mean, heart. That's a little corny, but
the first time I ever had a situation like that, I didn't know the bystander effect.
Okay.
I was in high school, and at the top of the bleachers, because we were doing climbers. We were going up and down the right at the top of the bleachers. Student fell. And fell all the way down the bleachers and smashed into the rail and was on his back gasping for air. And the teacher didn't do anything.
Oh, wow.
And that drove me crazy, and I made complaints with the school, and I did everything I could do as a high schooler to try to address that. But in the moment, I was the first person to their side, and I was basically like talking to him and asking him like where did you hit the rail? And he couldn't talk, but he like pointed to his ribs. So I felt his ribs, and I told him, you don't have any broken ribs. You might have a bruised rib, you might have a sprain, but you don't have any broken ribs. You're fine to move. I'm gonna take you to the nurse. And I helped him up and basically carried him to the nurse. And I was in high school, and the only reason I knew that he didn't have any broken ribs was from martial arts.
Yeah.
Right? And so at that point, too, and I look back at it now actually having more knowledge, and I'm like, yeah, but he also just fell down a flight of stairs, and who knows what condition his back was in when I decided to move him. Like, I did not do the right thing at all.
Yeah.
But I
mean, you're also in high school, and there's a teacher there who should have... A gym teacher, too, like, who should know exactly how to respond.
Right. And that's my point here, isn't that I did the right thing, it's that I acted.
Exactly.
So, based on what I've done in the past, I think in this scenario, I would probably be the one to pull the lever.
Okay.
And in other situations of, like, high stakes... I've tended to be the person who tells people, hey, you call 911. You also call 911. One of you get back to me after someone's on their way. That's been kind of how I've acted in high-stress situations in general.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm taking notes of what you said yes and no to, so
Yeah.
we can go back and look at them
And figure out how inconsistent I am. I got you.
Exactly. Well, and so and this is the really you're actually honestly surprising me a little bit, because I'll go back through and I'll kind of give my answers too. But first, I want to get your unfiltered opinion. Partially, this is partially selfish too, because I'm just curious. I love asking. I wish I never think about asking people these questions more, because they're a little weirdly weird.
They tell you so much about how people think.
They do though. They're so fascinating. I need to do it more. I need to just man up and just ask and just ask people
interview questions.
Yeah, but okay. So the difference is, so let's say there's the same number of people there, and let's say it's just you this time. That's just right.
Okay.
So let's say 5-1. Okay. The 5 people there that you recognize as murderers that have been tried. They've already been tried, convicted murderers, right? And they're gonna get hit. But you could pull the lever and kill the innocent person. Do you do it?
That's a much harder question.
Yep.
And from the utilitarianism view, it shouldn't be a harder question. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah.
Should be the standard, right?
But what is the many? Is it society as a whole, or is it that one person?
Right. So, to relate this to another dilemma, when you a classic debate of should the death penalty be allowed, right?
Right.
My sticking point in that has always been, if we allow one of my sticking points, I have several, but if we allow the death penalty, then why do we give legal rights of murder to the person who pushes the button?
Yeah.
Why is that person exempt from the same consequence?
I think the argument against that is that military. My thing with the death penalty, interesting enough, it comes from my work in the mental health field, and that I've seen people do great things with terrible burdens, and so I'm just predict none of us can predict the future. So even if someone may have done something terrible in the past,
right.
doesn't necessarily mean that they can't contribute to society in some way.
No, and I fully agree with that. That's I said I have several sticking points.
Yeah.
But one of them is the technicality of I don't see how you can possibly implement without being breaking your own laws. That's the one I just expressed. Yeah. Another one is I do fully believe that we are better than our worst mistakes.
Yeah.
And I also think there's situations that can get you on death row that were not mistakes on your part, but they're what anybody would have done in that situation. And that's case by case, and that's not really what we're.
And also innocent people getting killed. There's a lot of them. Again, right? There's a lot. There is a lot, but in regards to the question, though.
Well, no, this is all in regards to the question.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because we get off topic very easily.
No, this is all directly related to it. We're talking about the value of somebody who's been convicted and is on death row.
True, yeah.
And then we're comparing it to the value of somebody who's innocent.
Right.
And in this context, I'm assuming innocent simply means they haven't been convicted of murder.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I guess I do need a clarifying question. Okay. If these are death row inmates anyway.
Yeah.
If they do not die here, are they still going to die on death row?
No, they're not necessarily death row inmates.
Okay.
I'd say they're just convicted murderers. Doesn't mean that they're being you don't know the punishment. Just that you recognize that they're convicted murderers.
Okay. And so I don't know the punishment. In all likelihood, if they live through this, they could end up back on death row. They could end up back in prison. They could end up without whatever sentence they actually had.
Exactly. You don't know.
I think you just compounded my problem.
See, and that's why this is why I love this. You take it. I love seeing at what step stumps you.
So,
and that tells you so much about the people.
I'm trying to look at net potential almost.
Well, exactly.
And you just took that away.
Yep.
Entirely.
Yep. I know.
Now I can't have any idea of their net potential.
I know.
I think I would still pull a lever.
Really? In that, do you like? Okay, so that's like critically. Do you think in that moment you actually would?
If I had the amount of time I just had to think through it, I would pull a lever. In that moment, probably not.
Okay, and I think that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's a key difference in a lot of thought experiments is that do I have the time I have now to think about it?
Right.
Because that changes your answer because otherwise you're acting on instinct, not critical thought.
Right. Now, I do have the disposition at this point where if I ever find myself in this scenario, I've already thought
about this. It's true. Yeah, that is true. Which is why we're doing this now. We're saving everybody time. Isn't that great? Isn't that great?
You're also like, there's also something else that Luke's doing here that's really sneaky. He's revealing my political agendas. He's revealing the ways that I think, and he's polarizing me to any audience we may ever have. Like,
hey, polarization is the best way to gain an audience. Don't you know that?
If you really look into it, you're gonna find out. You're gonna be like, "Oh, is this guy a libertarian? Like, what's he doing here?" Like,
and I think it's interesting though because I love that's why I say I held back so hard from doing this on the first episode because again it is so cliche, but this is my favorite because okay, so you said you would still pull the lever. I think I finally, and I want to pursue this one more level. Okay, maybe two, depending on your answer. You have the murderers there. The other person is a friend of yours, or someone you know and love. Lever. There we go. That's what I thought. There you
go. Yeah, I won't pull a lever.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. And it's interesting to me though that distinction because it's the same. Like from any other person other than you, it's the same question. Like you pick a random person on the street, give them in that situation where it's your friend, and then they'll go, "Oh no, it's just another random person."
Absolutely.
And that's so fast, and it trips me up because to everybody else, this person is just another person, but to you, it changes the entire scenario of your action. I love it. I love that so much. So now moving on, though, to a more comical one.
So you're not even going to let me explain my reasoning?
Oh, sure. I mean, if you wanted to. I didn't know if you had reasoning.
No, it's consistent reasoning.
Okay.
It's... So what made me finally like make the decision on the last one was thinking about it in terms of like pure economics. Like, I had a strong focus in economics. I'm minoring in statistics. Statistics is how you deal with imperfect information.
Right.
Economics is the science of decision making. I literally at one point was just like, oh, I actually have been trained on how to do this, how to make a decision based on imperfect information.
Yeah.
So then when I ran it through like an economical thought process, I'm like, all right, I don't know the potential value of these people, and I don't know the potential value of this individual. So I can project that each of them has the same potential value. So I'll go and I'll save the 5.
Wow.
As soon as you tell me that I know the individual, they don't have to be my friend. As soon as you tell me that I know the individual, I know their potential value. And they automatically become more valuable than what's on the other side.
That's I'm a little disappointed because that's a very logical way of thinking about it. But at the same time, that is really interesting. So this is a question of potential value. That's really what this question is.
Well, right, and that's the way I approached it. If you want to actually break that mold and you want to get an emotional answer out of me, put somebody who I know their potential value to society is great on one side, and put my mom or my girlfriend on the other.
Yeah. And that's just like, see, that's like a zero sum. Is that, am I using that correctly? It's a zero sum game where everyone loses. Like, that's why I don't like those questions, because you're like, oh, choose between, yeah, exactly, your mom or your girlfriend.
No. I'm thinking somebody extremely close to me on one side and someone who's like public knowledge valuable on the other.
Public knowledge. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, 3-time Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Yeah, or
like,
Elon
this person's
Musk,
doing right. This person's doing amazing good for humanity.
Right.
And this is my mom.
Yeah.
Sorry, Elon. Like.
Yeah.
And I don't have a logical defense for that.
Well, see, that's what I wanted from you. I wanted some emotions out of you. Why is it that I'm always on the side with my friends of where I'm trying to get them to be emotional?
It's the friends you pick, probably.
It's true. It's the friends who gravitate to me, who adopt me. Like, that is okay. That is interesting. And then my favorite one, and then I'll let you go because we've already been running 45 minutes.
Wow, go
right?
us.
Let me go fast. This is my favorite one of all time.
All right.
Is that you're walking on a bridge, and you might know this one already.
Okay.
Okay, and there's this train coming, the trolley, right? And then there is about to hit, let's say 4 people this time. I like that number better. But there's a really fat person right right on the edge of the bridge, and you can just push them over, and they would fall, and they would actually block. And like from the trajectory of the trolley, like you can see this would actually stop the trolley from hitting people. Would you actually give it that push?
So the only element you've changed is you've taken away a degree of separation.
Yes.
You're putting me closer to the problem,
Yes.
saying, can I be the acting agent?
Yes.
Have
you heard this one?
I haven't.
Really? Okay, I'm glad. Yay. This is when my psychology professor went over, and this was his favorite. He would giddy. He's like I know. It's like, but yeah.
I honestly think I would harbor the same amount of guilt afterwards of pulling the lever or pushing the person. Mm-hmm. In either case, you would not be able to convince me that I did not kill somebody.
Right. Exactly.
So if I would pull the lever, which I believe I would, then I would also push the person.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because there's I would be hesitant about pulling the lever. Like I go back and forth about that, but there's no way I'd be able to actually push someone. And there's actually
no, I have a question though. Just the way that you've lined that up, I don't think this is being idealistic. I honestly believe that if I could run the same projection and just put myself in front of the train, I'd probably do that first.
Oh wow, that is actually interesting because I think I would be more inclined to do that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say I would, but I would definitely consider it more.
Right.
And
I think I would do that before I would intentionally push somebody else into the way.
Yeah. No, definitely.
If I know that both would have the same result.
Yeah. I'd have to bulk up, but
actually having that dilemma might lead to higher probability that the train goes past before I make a decision.
Exactly. Well, this is why we need to think about it now. Right. So you would say you would still push. Okay, but there's one more degree to this. And this is actually one I've never heard of that I personally have. I have had so much fun thinking about this. So the fat person, yes. What if this person was there's a little bit of a railing, and this person's so large that he would stop the train, but you couldn't physically, only you couldn't get him over the railing. But you're with 2 of your friends. Would you?
Are you asking me would I coerce them into murder?
Yes. to stop the train to save, let's say, 7 people now.
We're assuming that I have the persuasive abilities to do it, but yeah.
Assuming you have the persuasive abilities to do it.
Yeah. Actually, I think in all likelihood, the net amount of guilt felt between us might increase overall, but I think each individual guilt would go down. Bystander effect would probably come into play in a very different way. I would absolutely coerce my friends into helping me.
Really?
And I'm sure that after the fact, we'd all be guilty, but less guilty than I would if I had pulled the lever.
That is honestly, I didn't think about that kind of effect. Is that the guilt, it's easy to blame the group, not yourself.
Right.
Huh. That's fascinating. I like it. Huh. I mean, obviously I don't like but see, it's that kind of question. Of course, you have to bring it to the extreme, the final. And this is actually this has no relation to the trolley. This is the classic problem that upsets me in every single movie. Did you watch Infinity War? You said, oh, you did. Okay, I can't remember if you said that you just did it. You didn't want to. So there's the infamous scene, right, where Star-Lord hits Thanos because he killed his girlfriend or whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
That movie upsets me in so many ways. But that was that's part of what got me. I was thinking about this a bit more than I usually do. And I was thinking that if someone was holding someone I love hostage, right? Like the person I love most, they're holding them hostage, and they give me a gun and they say, "Go shoot this person," and then I will release them. This person, and you have no reason to distrust this person that they will release. That's I think the most extreme version is that. Would you do that? It's not like you're not in a situation like this is first degree calculated. You have to plan out how you would actually kill this person.
Interesting.
All right. Well, I mean, and that's like
so while you were talking about superhero tropes, I'll get back to your problem, but I don't think I can even think about it until I get this out of my head.
Okay.
You were talking about superhero tropes. You know what in the line of what we're talking about today, like the most frustrating superhero trope to me is they give superheroes the trolley situation all the time.
Yeah.
Save your loved one or save the masses.
Right.
And the superhero trope is I'm perfect, I can do both. Like
or,
and like they cheat and they you gave them this dilemma
funny.
that would have shown us so much about the hero, but then you just gave them an out.
Well, I mean, good superhero movies show the difference. Like my favorite scene, I would say maybe it's a twist, but like my favorite thing in almost any movie is in Dark Knight, which is my favorite movie of all time, where he
did exactly what I talked about earlier.
Yeah, he goes to save. He's like, I'm going to save the person I love. But then it's switched.
Yep.
And he realizes that his own emotions betrayed him, and that's what got her killed.
Batman's play in that movie was exactly what my play was earlier, where I told you I would let Elon die to save my girlfriend.
Exactly.
Like that. He did the same thing. I'm as good as Batman.
I mean, I don't really know about that. Like I would hold your horses there.
But you're right. That's a trolley type problem where they actually made him lose.
Yep.
When I'm saying this, like the one that's infamous to me is Spider-Man.
Which one? There's 8 of them.
No,
the first, okay.
And the first Spider-Man from like I don't even know when. Yeah. My childhood.
Yeah, it was mine too. It was my childhood too.
Where the Green Goblin has placed a subway car of people dangling over an edge, and then he's placed Mary Jane dangling over an edge, and Spider-Man.
It was in that movie. Oh
yeah,
I didn't remember.
And Spider-Man just saves both of them, and it's like at the time that's a fun, exciting scene. I'm a kid.
Right. Exactly.
But I've seen the same trope over and over and over again, and I'm like, why don't you tell us something about the hero?
Yeah.
Why don't you show us a hero who's not perfect? Like
yeah. I mean, there's so many superhero tropes, and in fact, that's one of our things. That's one of the things on our list is superhero tropes. Yes, nice. And examining them and talking about them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we just got deep into one. I guess we can skip that one in the future.
I guess.
So would I conduct premeditated murder to save somebody? That's basically the question,
person that
right?
you love the most in the world.
Okay. And on the other end, I have no idea who I'm murdering.
Yeah, it's just a person.
They're a nobody to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I could make myself.
Yeah.
I think in all likelihood, I'd just turn the gun on whoever just handed it to me.
That's a very practical, but a lot of experiments are not practical. That's the first rule.
Right. But then, so I think the quick in the moment decisions are ones where I can firmly say this is what I would do, assuming that I can't put the thought behind it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could make myself do any of those things in a premeditated sense.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's the most difficult.
I think in the same scenarios we've outlined already, if I've been kidnapped and I'm being brought to the train tracks and I'm being told what's going to happen, at that point I'll probably freeze.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is just honestly, it that gets to a point where that's faith based. Like,
interesting.
I cannot kill somebody.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and I think, most people would share. I mean, most people would share that sentiment. I think, I think it's like I haven't yet to find, especially like in the people that I've heard like answer this and like stuff like that. I haven't yet to see anybody say yes to that. I think you have to be like on a different kind of emotionally attached to somebody, and emotionally detached from everybody else.
There's this element of like premeditation is honestly where I would draw the line on any of them.
Well, now you've thought about them before, though, so now you've premeditated.
You're absolutely right. But I thought about them. I thought about them in a very abstract sense, and it's still very different than if I'm literally being brought to the train tracks and told this is about to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as it's premeditated, I can't escape the fact that I can't escape in my own mind the notion of murder.
Yeah.
And like in the moment, I can say I did what seemed best in the moment to save people. And I can repent for that and trust that like it'll be okay. But and then I mean, techno sense, everybody listening, I'm a born again Christian.
Yeah.
I fully believe in like God's eternal grace and His ability to forgive any and all sin. So in any and all of these scenarios,
and I, on the other hand, I'm agnostic, and so I think that's why also I was really excited about this idea, is because we have very similar values, but they're coming. I mean, I don't want to say they come from different places, but on that sense, we do have a difference of opinions, and that's why I love how we approach conversations and discussions and stuff like that.
Right. So while I'm sure that if I do anything that I feel is right in any scenario, I believe in God's grace. I believe I'll be saved regardless. I can't intentionally sin.
Yeah.
And murder is a pretty cut and dry sin.
Yeah. It's pretty cut and dry bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. Is that like to have that kind of premeditation is like I can imagine that like the type of person that would go through with that, but I think that's very, very rare. Like you have to have a certain set of issues, and
I almost feel like the psychological profile of somebody who would do this is somebody who wouldn't do it because they wouldn't care about the person enough.
Well, what I'm saying is that it'd have to be a person who I was saying about like they'd have to be super emotionally attached to one person and be emotionally unattached from other people, which is a very special brand of.
This is a very common movie trope too, though. Taken.
Is that what Taken's about?
Taken. His daughter gets kidnapped and he goes and kills everybody to rescue her.
I only watched like the first 15 minutes of is that a show? It's not a show. It's a movie.
It's a movie,
yeah.
But that's like a very common action hero movie.
It is.
They're saving their loved one and they're killing everybody to do it, and they knew they were going to kill everybody.
Well, I think, and also usually in those situations though, they usually have a military background, or they're private, not assassins, but like private.
And we're led to believe that these people are all inherently bad already. And they're doing terrible things.
Exactly. I think that's the interesting part. Is that they believe themselves to be bad, so they don't care, or they do care, but they're in a way just so depressed that they believe themselves.
Did you ever watch Watchmen?
No, I haven't. Wait, no, wait, yes, wait. That's is that the British spy movie, or no? That's a different one.
No, Watchmen is a superhero
that's Kingsman.
movie.
Never mind, that's Kingsman.
That was a funny movie.
I love that movie. Both of them, so good. But Watchmen, I don't think so. I think I read a book. I read a book called The Watchmen. Wait, no, I haven't. Yeah, no, I haven't watched the movie.
Okay,
that was quite a turn. That was unnecessarily. Well,
moot point then.
Yeah, but yeah, it is an interesting thought, and I encourage anybody listening to develop your own scenarios and think about it and be like, would I do this? because I think we like hiding that from ourselves. And I think that tells you so much about yourself. Is that if you think about like, would I do this? And if you think about like, well, I actually would do this. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe that's an issue, or maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
Right? I don't have a problem with this. I have a problem with the fact I don't have a problem with this.
Exactly. That's great. But we spent way longer on that than I thought we would. I thought it'd be a quick so we could get to your big topic.
You just assume I have a big topic.
I mean, you're much more of an intellectual.
We've done one episode.
No, in our talks though, you're much more of an intellectual than me. I would say I consider myself more of a realist. I don't know if that's even the right word. Because you read a lot and stuff like that. I'm more just like feel like the dirt and like mess up and I'm like, oh, oops. that's me. I didn't even go.
I study the great thinkers on the thoughts before I talk about it. And you're like,
and I'm talking about playing in dirt.
No, so how do I want to start this?
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Okay. I guess I'll go with that approach. I like this. So this is pretty lighthearted. I had such a heavy topic last week.
Okay,
and
good.
So this is pretty lighthearted and kind of fun. But and I also realized that we talked about this. The topic I used last week, I could talk about probably for a solid year.
Yeah.
And never run out of content.
Yep. Just talk about thinking, the nature of thought.
And I'll probably talk about how we think again in the future.
Oh,
because I'm deeply invested in studying it right now.
Right.
Which is probably why I brought it up in the first place.
Yeah.
But so the miracle cure guys, like this snake oil can cure everything and fix everything, and it does it by aligning you with the cosmos and the healing and all that stuff, right? When you think about, I'm literally saying the cliches intentionally, but like any and every one of those claims falls apart because there's no evidence to back it. Right. There's no scientific research done. There's no studying done.
Well, there is studying done, and they all prove them wrong. But anyway, go ahead.
No. If there's studying done, it disproves it, or
exactly.
it equates what's happening to a placebo.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Which there's nothing wrong with a placebo effect. If it's a true, accurate, working placebo, it can have wonders on your health.
It can, just as long as you're not being taken advantage of for it.
Exactly. That's the issue, is it's easy to take advantage of the placebo effect, right? So in those lines, and with that kind of intro, have you heard of Wim Hof?
Wim Hof?
Wim Hof.
No.
Okay. So Wim Hof has a method that he's developed that he makes outlandish claims about. He talks about controlling your autonomic nervous system. There we go. He talks about controlling your immune system. He talks about not getting sick and not getting cancer and not getting diseases. And if you do get these diseases, controlling your own body to get rid of these
So
diseases.
Steve Jobs' method, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
And he talks about all sorts of just outlandish claims with his method of, well, I'm going to get into what it is in a second. But it's the Wim Hof method. Gives you all the snake oil type results, right? Now, Wim Hof himself holds 26 world records. Wim Hof has, I believe he ran the Arctic Circle barefoot. He has a lot of records with dealing with cold exposure. His record for standing on ice barefoot is more than 3 hours long. And he's just now.
Whoa.
The thing that separates it, and so you could stack him up as an anomaly, right?
Yeah.
And it'd be pretty easy to do so. Be like, okay, you got something special going on with you, but who's to say it's not a mind over matter thing like we see with Buddhist monks?
Mm-hmm.
And who's to say it's not like you're just a genetic outlier? Who knows? Now, interestingly, Wim Hof claims to be able to teach his techniques to anybody.
Yeah.
And unlike all the other snake oil gurus, he has asked for testing. So there's been a ton of testing done on him. And probably the most interesting one to me is they put him in a bodysuit that has cold water running through it, so they can regulate its temperature and make it as hot or cold as they want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember if it was an MRI or a CAT scan they put him in to see how his body's reacting to this.
Yeah.
But when they made the water cold, his skin's temperature did not change. He was able to use his technique to keep his skin at body temperature. And
okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
okay,
Yeah.
they at one point this was the fascinating part about the test to me. At one point, they told him that a part of his back was getting cold, and when they described it to him, he said, "Oh, let me fix that," and its temperature raised.
What? Okay.
So after they've done all this studying, they see that he actually is doing something crazy. He then proceeds to explain how anybody can do it. And so his first test, he took, I think it was 8 guys, and he spent a week training with them, and then they get similar results. Now he's helped hundreds, and they get similar results. Some of the things that have been proven under testing conditions, been proven that his method actually does, is it helps with mental health and stress and sleep and all the things that any good mental routine will do, right? But then it helps with inflammation relief. So arthritis relief based on inflammation is something that he's been curing for people. They have short-term positive effects on the immune system, like he claims. It helped with cold tolerance. It helped with chronic lung disease. And the most surprising and hardest one to explain that they have statistical evidence to prove is it helps with altitude sickness.
What? How have I never heard about this?
So the Wim Hof method, and I haven't even said what it is yet, but effectively, when you break it down, there's 3 pillars of his method, and it's a type of meditation, prolonged and intentional and properly built up cold exposure, and a breathing technique. Now, the breathing technique that he uses, it creates both hypoventilation and hyperventilation, and it takes on both of those. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, it puts you in a state of hypoxia, which is a really low oxygen level, and then immediately reverses it and gets your oxygen level really high in your body. That creates it creates a immune response. It creates the sympathetic nervous system goes into a type of shock that gives you an adrenaline rush. That's in experience. It's very similar to a runner's high.
Okay.
And he does this with cold exposure because cold exposure heightens the effect. Mm-hmm. And then that's way of tricking your body into putting itself in a state of prepared to do things. Yeah. Is where all these benefits come from. So the immune system responses that they've been able to prove it has are short term. Yeah. And by short term, as long as you're using his breathing exercise, it has immune system benefits.
What? I'm looking at his website now. That's
that was another really interesting test they did where they injected him with it's a state of putting a virus in where the virus is no longer harmful to the body. So the virus is effectively dead. Okay. And when they inject people with it, most people's bodies, and by most we mean literally everybody except Wim Hof, your body gets sick. It responds to it as if it's a live virus, and it deals with it by having an immune system response that's increasing your white blood cells and increasing all these different, what are they called? Amino acids and things that your body does to defend itself. Yeah. Which also creates flu symptoms and cold symptoms. Mm-hmm. When they injected him with it, he didn't get any symptoms. And the compounds that your body releases that create those symptoms were not found in his bloodstream, but the white blood cell count in his body increased. And so they saw that it takes away the negative, but he still has a stronger immune response. And it was just bizarre. Yeah, so I've been studying this guy. I've been fascinated. I have a mentor in my life who's been basically adopting the Wim Hof method, the breathing exercises and taking cold showers and just doing the baby steps that he recommends, which is why I got into it. I'm just I don't have a big what do we do about this. This is just really it's just really fascinating, and I've been kind of hooked on him for about a week. So.
That's fascinating. I think the question that comes from that is how strong is your mind, right?
Yeah.
How strong is mind over matter?
So that was I watched one doctor talking about this. I don't even know what kind of a doctor he is, but he was saying how in general he would recommend the Wim Hof method because it has a lot of proven benefits. And he would also recommend it because it doesn't have any glaring side effects or dangers to doing it. Except he says don't do the breathing exercises in water, which Wim Hof does all the time. But it's like in general I recommend it because even if it is a placebo, it's been proven valuable and it's not harmful.
I see where the placebo came in. Okay. Got it.
So he's like, and so he says he can't like strongly push it because it hasn't been proven that it's not a placebo.
Right.
The tests that have been done have not been double blind or even single blind tests because there's no way to do a single blind test where the patient doesn't know that they're getting Wim Hof's training.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So there's no test that can be done that can disprove the placebo effect.
I guess couldn't they have someone else do the same training though and just not tell them what it is?
Ooh, that's an interesting idea.
That seems like a pretty right?
I like that. So in that test scenario, you'd have to have people who are entirely oblivious to Wim Hof, which
it'd be
most
me.
people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
That would be. I wonder how you'd get somebody to volunteer for that. Like,
you could get. I'm thinking, you just get people with. I guess it depends on which one. Like, if it's just a cold one, then you just.
Well, if you do his full method, I guess you could. The study could be, and then the way the scientists could project it and the way the trainers could project it is, this is a technique that we're studying and we're investigating. It has no proven benefits, but it has potential benefits, and we're looking into what those might be in you.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd probably be the way you'd present it, so that you don't create a bias.
Exactly.
Participant.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty. And then and then of course you do the control. You just put the people in there, as well.
So the tests that they've done have been with people who have nothing, so they're true control.
Right.
They've then given people placebos that they have explained do the same things that the Wim Hof method promotes.
Yeah.
And then they've had people go through the Wim Hof method.
Exactly.
And in that, the people with the Wim Hof method have done better on all tests that they cared about than either of the other two groups. But the issue with that is, again, you're being given the Wim Hof method.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's a huge thing. Although for me, I wonder because I'm just so skeptical.
With a good right to be.
Whenever someone has a method or something like that, I'm is it, something that everybody doesn't already know about. After all of this history and time of learning about things. Well, so that's why. But so I wonder though. If I was given this method, it would actually work against me or someone else who is equally skeptical. I want to see that kind of test, right? I want to be part of it.
So the interesting thing about his method is every individual aspect of it is on its own something that people say have great benefits. Cold exposure is something that athletes do after training. To reduce inflammation, right? Meditation is something that's been taught for thousands of years.
Yeah, of course.
Breathing techniques are things that climbers know they need to care about.
Yep.
Every individual aspect of his technique isn't new. He's just doing it
all
together.
At once.
Yeah.
Huh. It's really. It's interesting. I'm looking because I don't. And I think that's the interesting thing is that he asks for testing. I think that's the quickest way to find someone who's fake is if they're critical of people who are, if they they're dismissive of people who are critical of them.
Right.
That's the quickest way for someone to be like, oh yeah, you're a scam artist. Like there's so many gurus. I think did I send you that YouTube channel? It's supposed to fake gurus, Coffeezilla. And that's one thing that most of them do is that they'll strike down his videos, they'll sue him, they'll send him cease and desist letters. And I'm like, yeah, of course you do, because he's being critical of you. And no, you don't come on. And he's like, I've invited them to the show, like I've emailed, I've done everything to get them on to talk about, to like tell me why I'm wrong, and they won't tell me why I'm wrong. They just don't want me. They don't want me to be critical. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's the everything that I've seen about him in the research I've done. Wim Hof seems to he seems to want to know why his method works. I
had an image of him just like over a scientist, like, please tell me. I'm so confused. I don't know why.
Well, and the weird thing is he's gotten to a point now where he has a following, and he's charged people for the training, and now I think I saw on his website that he has like an e-course you can buy. So he's gotten to
a free mini class. He has products.
Yeah, so he's gotten to the influencer guru level. And to me, the things that are really interesting are what he was doing before he was teaching people, and because at that stage he didn't seem as bought in as he does now, because now he seems like a snake oil salesman.
Right.
But there's a stage where he seems like he's got the scientific discovery element going on, where he's like, this is what I do. I've had amazing results. I have 26 world records. I don't get cold.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Can you tell me why it works?
Yeah, I'm going to install his app and see how it works, because he has an app too.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
And so I guess that's one thing we can do. If you want the influencer playbook, there's a scammy way to do it, and Wim Hof did it the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
He did something real and has proof to show for it. Mm-hmm. He went and figured out why it works, started with a very small sample size to see if it was possible to teach it to others, and slowly scaled up.
Yeah, so in a way, though, you could say, in relation, the reason why this relates to the podcast is because we're talking about skepticism and how to disprove skepticism by having a real thing. I'm doing
right.
Yeah,
there's like I know of like 15 different types of proof that you can give, of evidence that you can give.
Okay.
And if you ever look into somebody you're interested in what they're doing, most of the snake oil feeling like salesmen don't have any forms of proof or evidence.
Yeah.
And when they do,
they have testimonials.
They'll have testimonials. Yep. The other common one is they'll use anecdotal proof.
Yes.
And the anecdotal proof that they'll use is a live demonstration with you.
Yep.
And anecdotal proof, in every case I've seen of it where it's used with a live demonstration, they are scamming you.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're scamming you because of what they're saying isn't true, which what they're saying isn't true, but what they are telling you the experiment isn't accurate. The metal bands with the liquid titanium in them that are supposed to improve your balance.
Yeah.
So they'll test it by having you hold your arms out, and they'll push your arms, and you'll fall over. And then you'll put the band on, and they'll push your arms, and you won't fall over. Well, when I push straight down on your arm, you fall over. If I push in at an angle, you won't.
Yeah.
And you can't feel the difference.
Yep.
Like, those are the anecdotal evidences that the snake oil salesmen give. They're cheating you.
Yeah.
They're using a con. And then they use testimonies, and the testimonies either come from people who literally just went through that con.
Exactly.
So now they're
super
convinced.
excited, or they're fake.
Right, or they're fake.
Like there was the one in one of the videos of that channel. He found this guy because he does a lot of research, and so he went through like this one. I think it was.
I've been telling people about that.
Yeah, about the channel, or about the
about what you're saying right now.
Oh yeah, because they found this guy who is on so many of these fake gurus' websites, because he found this one guy because it was in like the sales video, right? He's like, look at this.
Yep.
Let's watch this guy's video, and then so he's like, that's interesting. He looks a little familiar.
He's a professional testimony.
Exactly.
Giver.
So he found the guy, and he found his testimonies across all these other guru sites. and they're usually the same thing. It's usually just the same script, just adapted to the person. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
That's why I don't.
So,
I have a hard time
testimonial evidence is a very weak form of evidence.
Yep.
Another one that is extremely common is like the bias of the appeal to authority.
Oh right, of course, yeah.
Right, so I got one person in a lab coat to say that this is legit,
Right.
and they have a doctorate, so you should believe them.
Yeah.
It's funny that like sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you can look into those and they're like doctorates in art. And you're like, oh. But Wim's had a very different approach where he's like going through all the testing, making it all public knowledge.
Yeah.
If you get his ebook off his website, he has a bit of fluff in it, but he also explains the science as it's been explained to him.
Interesting. Okay.
And so he's like very transparent, along with being the idealistic woo-woo, this can cure everything kind of guy.
Right. But so, to be fair to him, from what I know about him, just from looking at his website and you talk about him, he has no reason to disbelieve that it does all those things.
No, it's done it for him, and it's done it
Yeah.
for everyone he's worked with.
Right.
Like, and he's like, look, it works.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, I may not know why, but like,
Well, and the funny thing is with how simplistic it is, I mean, it's meditation, breathing, and cold exposure.
Right.
And even though he has like the masterclass and the course and stuff you can pay him for now, he also explains how to do it all for free.
yeah,
So, like, you can literally just find him on YouTube. And if you're skeptical, test it.
exactly. Well, and that's what his app. So I was looking into, and his app literally just helps you track doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, look, do these 3 things, like do this amount, boom, done. And that's the other thing, that I like. I mean, I'm curious to see, like, I'm always curious to see what the paid courses are like. Like, if all the information's there, like, what are the paid courses for?
Right.
That always interests me. But yeah, I think
I feel like with him, it almost seems like some marketing firm sold him on why he needs to have a course. And he's like, okay.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And then it's probably just the stuff that he's already
He doesn't
said.
look like the type of person that would just try to gouge out of every single thing. But I think this is actually interesting because this made me think about my own skepticism and how maybe I'm a little too skeptical of everything. Because when I first if I went on this, I would immediately I would never pay attention to this because it looks like so many other things. And it's really interesting. I think that there is a healthy skepticism. And I know I definitely go past the healthy skepticism.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of everything.
But to be fair to you, this is a very interesting case, and I'm obviously interested in it.
It is.
But I have seen, like, MLMs and scams. I won't say MLM scams, even though I think MLMs are scams. MLMs and scams that have these kind of claims with very similar looking studies backing up garbage.
Right.
And so, like, there is a reason to be very skeptical because it's not hard to fake convincing looking evidence.
Oh yeah. It's so easy. I mean, especially like with like deep fakes now, you can make it look like someone famous is endorsing your product,
Right.
And no one will really know the difference, which is scary. We're coming.
That's another appeal to authority.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on celebrities and politics. Drive me crazy.
At some point, do we have it in our queue to talk about fallacies in general?
We don't. Yes.
That'll be a fun one.
Coming up next on Overthinking. Is this fallacy a fallacy? That's an episode right there.
It probably is. Honestly, if we do fallacies, we probably take away thought experiments for the episode, and we probably just talk about the fallacies.
Yeah, because I think it also...
That's probably an episode on its own.
It is an episode on its own, and it sets up, like, how to think
future
critically.
Purposes.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why I like the Trolly program, because it sets up thought experiments.
Maybe we combine fallacies with with critical thinking.
Exactly.
And we're like, these are the building stones for moving forward, and maybe that's a good episode.
That is a good episode.
What do you guys think? There's no one listening. Right in.
I mean, right now we're not live, so of course no one's listening. I almost got a spit take out of you. Almost. Well, that is my goal. Okay, I'm putting it down. Okay, My goal for this podcast
You
is to
just
get
want me to ruin my computer.
I just want to get a spit take out of Devin. That's all I want. I'll have to up my funny. I'll have to be way funnier than I am right now, but.
All right, I feel like we've thought this
this one through. So we have we haven't thought this through. What we have you have overthought it. Darn it, I messed it up.
Overthought it. I think we're overthinking it.
I think you're overthinking it. That's the phrase. We ruined our own little slogan.
We're trying to start this thing, and it'll be fun, but we gotta get in the rhythm of it.
I know, because I can't remember what the actual. I can't remember how to say overthinking.
We'll write it down in the queue. You'll see it.
Yep. But yeah, so that's it. I think that's also a good like final little final thing too as well. Like the thought of the week is that like explore like how skeptical you are. Like if you're a little too trusting, but add a little more skepticism. Like start questioning things. A little more. And if you're too skeptical, be a little more open. I think I'll pledge that too. I'll pledge that for this week. So be just a little more open to claims and things and people and such like that.
I don't think there's really much danger in holding your cards close to your chest. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it holds you. I think at least I know for me, it holds me. It doesn't give me opportunity to explore some new things. So I think that's what I mean. I don't mean by like, oh, I'm just gonna like pay $1,000 to this person who claims they can cure me. Like not that kind of like. Believing.
I think maybe a good take home is like don't take anything at face value.
Due
diligence.
See, that's much better. See, that's why I have you. They're much better than me at that. Cool. Well, thank you all of you for listening. We still don't have an outro.
We don't have an outro.
What if we just never have an outro? And that's our outro.
Make the outro super simple. We'll be like, bye.
Find us at overthinkingpodcast.com. And the email right now, is don't Google that yet, Devin. No. That was supposed to be a surprise, and I ran into problems with the PHP limit, and it crashed, and it's nothing right now. It was really...
No, it's got a picture on it.
It's got a picture on it, and it's got our email, which is... Right now, it's the only thing was available was overthinkingpodcastshow@gmail.com. So that's what we have right now. Deal with it. If you want to email your favorite thought experiments in, or tell us how we messed up.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. That should be part of our...
And then we can roast you for how stupid you know.
We'll talk that on next week's episode.
I'm always just ending it with me just being mean to anyone who's like kind enough to listen.
And Bob Simmons from Nebraska wrote in and told us that we were wrong, but in fact Bob was wrong because we're the host.
Yeah, I'm right. Was that it's the try guy thing? Like I'm right, you're wrong. Shut up. It's been my mantra.
Lights.
See you next week.